The title of my presentation or this speech is going to be Our Bid for Change. It is inspired by Aisha Ejaz's blog My Bid for Change, because those 4 simple single syllable words were actually pretty convincing for me, and they completely changed the way I used to look at things. So I'm going to introduce now you to Umeed, a welfare society that was initially formed in IST, the institute from where I graduated. And the society basically only had one objective when it began. It was for the education welfare of the people around them. So initially their only target was the little schools in Rawat, the area adjoining our institute, and more or less small towns around here and around there. So with those simple beginnings we started. Now there are so many individuals. Okay. So here's what happened. Earlier this year we had some headlines about a famine which broke up in Thar. Now these things were extremely moving. These things were not very pretty. They had absolutely no amount of glamour in them. It was about little children dying. It was about weak mothers not being able to nourish them. And it was about fathers who were too helpless and too powerless to do anything about it. So the students of IST thought that it would be a good idea if we took up an initiative and started to do anything about it. So like any campaign goes, initially there were the fundraisers. Every single package, there was around 20 kg of atta, there was around 5 kg of ghee, there were mazes, there was tea, there was sugar, and there was all the other things that were quintessential for human beings to survive. Since what we had in our mind was that people over there are starving and we have to do something about it. But this is where everything changed, because now I'm going to get interesting. Once we were done with all this, we were then presented, since we were the guests, with Thandi Dew and Garam Korma. And we were like, what? Seriously, isn't this supposed to be a place where a severe famine has just struck? Extra 18 months to survive on this planet, so that's a good deal going on. Now, the focus of this presentation wasn't exactly on that. It's also that so many things are being done with this society. They're celebrating everything. Flood relief is taken care of, Children's Day are being celebrated. All of these things are done completely on student level. They're not collecting funds from outside. Whatever it is, they're developing on their own and people are participating. Individual cases are also being dealt with. Eid is almost regularly spent in orphanages and other such places. Regarding the operations areas of the IDPs were taken care of. Regarding the situation in Gaza, a movement was started. Regarding all of these things, there were individual cases where a student suffered because of financial crisis and couldn't keep up her education. So the students of IST gathered some funds around and they were able to take care of that. There were blood donation drives, there were book drives, there were so much other things that were done. And what I wanted to tell you was, none of it is actually very hierarchical, none of it is actually planned. There aren't any powerful motivators amongst us. We're all just regular students. We don't really have much to flaunt, not many feathers in our cap. What we do is, what I did was, earlier when I started, we only had one event in a single semester, and we would call SOS Village students up and we would show them a thing or two around our university and we'll have a good time. And eventually, because of our good deeds, I don't want to flaunt or anything, that's why I said that wrong. Because of those things, more people started joining in, more and more people started joining in, and suddenly this society was far more powerful than what it was in its initial days, and now things are being taken care of on a regular basis. There are around 50 schools which have been provided by books, which have been provided by furniture. There are over 1,000 students who were distributed sweaters and blazers during the winters last year. Computer labs were set up in 2 of them. Students from IST are constantly visiting those places so that they can teach a thing or two to them. There are space weeks held where space awareness is taken care of and things are being told to all of them. All of that was done because each individual, when we were in the beginning of this society, we thought that once, well, what happens is, here's what happens. We're in a fancy restaurant and eating pizza, there are 4 of us and we're saying, basically, the problem with Pakistan is this. Basically, the problem with Pakistan is that we've got bad infrastructure, we've got economic crisis, we've got corrupt leaders, we've got politicians, we've got this, we've got that. Everyone is corrupt. नेक हुआ है जिसको मौका नहीं मिला, इस किस्म की सारी बातें. And I do not want to be amongst those individuals. Frankly, one of the things that I now feel nauseated about is the statement, दरअसल मसला ये है कि. Because everywhere you go, that's all that people are discussing, and I do not want to compare myself, or I do not want to associate myself from the very same group as them. So I want to be there. I do not want to front about it, but I want to be amongst those people who, whatever is in their potential to do anything about it, are actually doing anything about it. And trust me when I say this, when all of this was started, it was nothing, it was barely anything, and now so many people are getting a better education, so many people are better dressed, so many people are getting a better grooming, there are schools, there are books being delivered to them, there are libraries, mobile libraries, they are floating around so people could visit them, take a book out, have a couple of minutes of reading or maybe more, and all of this is being done on simple initiatives. All you have to do is take a little initiative, because when the reckoning will be established and you will be questioned for what you did, so you would have something to show for that this right here is my bid for change. And it doesn't necessarily have to be very big. As long as it's there, it doesn't matter what the magnitude is, as long as it's vectored in the correct direction, as long as it's channeled to the very core of the matters. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.